Yo, JD here, Limits, and we are finally back with some more world record attempts. And it's been a little while, had a nice little break, been quite ill recently to be honest. But I thought, why not come back and do the track that's probably been the most requested for quite some time now, and actually surprised myself that I haven't done it, and that is Spa, Belgium. On the F1 games, despite being very popular, people, hasn't been really a great track for me in the past for league racing, although I did get my first AOR win or ARL win ever around this track. But in terms of me driving it, I've never actually really enjoyed it and always found it particularly hard to hook up. But I am in probably my favourite car on this game, the Ferrari F2004, and as always with the world record at 41.6, which was done with ABS on, which I can confirm really helps in this car, because the rear end, especially when you're braking and changing direction, if you have ABS, it pretty much solves that problem for you. So it's a big advantage. So if I could beat that, that'd be great. But if I didn't, as I actually hit the wall straight away, then as I was saying, yeah, if I didn't beat that, but I got very close to actually beat the next person who was using no assists, I'd be very happy about. But yeah, as always, going out with the default setup, which is notoriously well over about 2 and a bit seconds slower typically, because the default is literally, as I've always described, a cargo ship. You need that extra rotation, Tyrrell extra rotation, Limitless. You really do need that. And yeah, we definitely need the rotation in this corner, because it is just like an absolute oil tanker going through there. It is absolutely nuts. But yeah, as I was saying, this track has just never been one, it's not come natural to me, which is kind of weird, because this should really suit my driving style, where it's a lot of fast change of direction corners such as these corners here. Only 2 real big braking zones, or about 3 braking zones really. End of the chicane coming up from this one here, first corner, and then the end of sector 1. Apart from that, it's all about keeping that momentum through the corners. So it really should suit me, but in modern cars especially, I've never really enjoyed it particularly too much here. But saying that, the default lap here is actually going pretty well. Apart from hitting the wall on the exit of turn 1, it's actually gone pretty decent so far. And coming across the line here, let's see what we're going to do on the first lap, and that's going to be a 45.1. So we're aiming for 41.6, 2 and a bit seconds, but I knew I could make up a little bit more time. And you'll probably see in this video here, which I've said before, hopefully people don't mind, but I feel it's really important to actually show this, is I just keep on doing lap after lap, and it's so important to get into rhythm. Even if you invalidate, I cannot stress enough, like in every single one of these videos I've said, it is so important to just get that rhythm just drilled into your brain. And you can see I've invalidated here, but I still continue, because I just want to see of what I could do, where I can make up time. Because if you just keep on resetting, your brain is just not going to remember the muscle memory that's required for the other corners. Because if you just keep on restarting at sector 1, I can promise you're going to be quite rusty when it comes to sector 3, when you eventually do master that sector 1. So for me, my advice is just persevere, just keep on going, and that is it pretty much. When you want to get better at a track, to build a setup, or how I felt I've got my speed in the first place, it's because I was doing exactly this. I've been doing this for the last 8 years, playing F1 games, but I just keep on grinding it out. I don't really do TT as much anymore. I feel once you kind of hit that level on previous games, although the games are different supposedly, the tracks are almost the same every single year, you kind of carry over to the next few games really, as you just know the limits a little bit more and push it a bit more. But yeah, I cannot stress enough that you need to just get into a habit of building that rhythm before you restart laps and stuff like that. But you can see we did that invalidated lap there, we did an improvement, but I don't like to continue until I do a validated lap, because I kind of say to myself, if I do an invalid lap, then really could I have done that validated? So I like to reassure myself that I can do it clean before I move over to bolting on the setup, which is inevitably going to give me at least a minimum, should be a minimum 1.5 seconds, particularly around this track with the straights and the really super fast corners. But yeah, so far this lap is going pretty squeaky clean, but I was finding it pretty hard, especially through sector 2 and going into that very last corner. This car, I said before, is just so sensitive. Like, just the initial traction here is not too bad, but once you get into that last part of the rev range, that's where it's so unpredictable. You just do not know what the car is going to be doing whatsoever, as we almost go out wide but managed to keep it on here, and we're about 4 tenths up on a 45.1, so that is definitely more like it. But 45.1, take 2 seconds off that, it's a 43.1. That's not anywhere near what I should really be aiming for. But look at this, we are miles up. So this is definitely a lot more like it here, and that's just why it's so crucial just to persevere, because you just get that confidence. Confidence is just everything on this game, and just in anything, to be honest. I'm sure most people do have the ability and the potential to be one of the best. It's just getting that confidence built into your brain, convincing yourself that you can do it, and that's exactly why I do these laps until I continue. And there we go, that's a 44.1, so that is more like it. So I felt pretty good after that, as you can see, happy about now. So I'm going to go back to the pits, see where I am on the leaderboard itself, and then put on a setup here. So going to the leaderboard, that puts me in the top 200 in the world, so that's not too bad, less than 2 seconds away from being in that P6 or something like that. So if I'm within 2 seconds of the world record almost, that's actually a pretty encouraging sign. And since this is one of the longest laps on the calendar, only being 2 seconds down is a pretty good thing here. So we decided to bolt on, I think, the quickest no assist setup, because that is realistically what I'm aiming for, because the guy at the top with ABS is actually quite a bit clear of the guy in second place, and no one's done a 7 with no assists at all. And there's quite a few good people I've seen recently where we're going on these tracks. A lot of people have been sweating this, anticipating probably maybe when I'm go on this, which is great because it's more of a challenge as well. But yeah, I was hoping I was just going to try and get as close to that as possible, like we did in Monaco, where someone was wall riding. That's a little bit of a different story, but assists in this car, especially the ABS, is quite a big advantage to have. So we're just going to do the best we can and see where we can get. But running a little bit out wide here, really need to use the camber of the corners to try and let you go. I really enjoyed this corner on this one, but the setup I'm using here just feels so oversteery right now. It's responsive, but the rear end just wants to go absolutely everywhere. And going to this right-hander, it's pretty weird corner. You don't want to be carrying too much speed, and that's the thing with this car as well. If you just carry too much speed, just the car just, you can see that, just it looks unnatural going through there at the moment. But lap time is still pretty decent. This car is just so sensitive. If you just go a mile an hour too quick through a corner, it will just say nope, and then the back end will just completely just wash away. So you have to be so sensitive. Like someone said before, like Michael Schumacher, you have to drive with your fingertips on this car. You really do. And just the weight distribution going from right to left, it kind of just wants to keep throwing you to the right. You have to force it to go to the left. And we do a 42.6 as a first lap with a setup, which is not really too bad at all. And I just continued on for another lap. So this is the very next lap. And coming across the line, we do a 42.4. So making steady improvements. And yeah, so far, so good here. And let's see, trying to get a good exit up here, which we do very nicely. Let's see what happens towards the end of the lap. And again, you can see we did invalidate it, but as I advise, just to keep on going, just to see what you can really get. And going across the line, that would have been a 42.2. So we're gaining about 2 tenths per lap at this stage here. So now, like I said in my Australia video as well, once you hit a lap time, you just convince yourself that you can do that, and you'll find yourself just hitting that lap time over and over again. And where a lap time you thought was almost impossible, once you actually manage to beat it and match it, you'll find a slow lap is actually what your PB was 5 minutes ago. So You just got to keep on going, just tweaking the setup ever so slightly just to make it a little bit more stable for me, which is why I'm actually putting the suspension geometry down to the middle. I find it gives me a little bit better stability, and same for the rear suspension on the rear and the rear anti-roll bar. That is to just give more stability and more traction. I felt I had enough turning. I just need more stability and more traction. That's pretty much all I'm aiming for. And putting the tire pressures all the way up, that actually gives you a little bit more rotation, but also a bit better straight line speed as well. So whenever I change something in the setup, I try and, if I'm trying to go for a bit more understeer, I go more understeer, 2 steps towards more understeer, and then kind of counter that just a little bit more with some more oversteer and stuff as well, which is what I was doing in tire pressure. So not a complete one-way change, if that makes any sense whatsoever, because I don't want the car to feel completely different from what I was just getting used to. I like to gradually change it. No, it's not like going from 6 bars to 11 bars in a change. I like to make gradual changes until it really meets my own driving style. And I cannot stress enough as well, if you download someone's setup but you're not fast with it and you don't like it, it is all personal preference. You've got to find what works for you, and I know what works for me. So coming into here now, I immediately felt just an improvement. Listen, straight out of the box straight away, and you can see we're actually going green already. Although we're losing a little bit of time going through here, I just felt automatically just a lot more comfortable with the car. Could just be a lot more aggressive with the traction like I am going through here. The back end is not wanting to wash away from me at all, although we are slightly down on the time. Let's see if we can make it up going through into here, which we do. We are starting to make up a fair amount of time going to this right-hander. Probably the weirdest corner on the track. You do not know if you want to go fast or slow. Don't you want to hit the apex up, but you want to hit the apex of this, running out wide ever so slightly. And we were about a tenth down, and now we're making all that time up again. Can't afford to run out wide going through that corner here. And you can see we've made up a lot of time. We were about a tenth and a half down at one point going through this lap pin. It's Tyrrell Button on a 41.9, who's pretty much a specialist in these cars. He's very, very good in these cars. Going into the chicane now. Let's see where we can do. I was really struggling this corner. I want to keep it in the high gear before downshifting to second gear. Getting a very, very nice exit off here. And what lap time is this going to be? That is going to be a 42.0. So almost scraping into the 41s now. And as I said, once you hit that lap time, you will find you will just keep on matching it. And straight away, we are over a tenth up on our previous lap here. And you just get that rhythm down. Just keep on building that momentum. And as I said, you're probably going to be seeing quite a few laps where I'm just going to continue, because this is just giving you a raw perspective of what to expect when doing a time trial kind of scenario. Doing that pretty nice. You want to take half of this left-hand curb. Try and take as much as you dare. We've invalidated it, but I'm going to continue because I just want to see where I could gain time, what I can improve on, because I could see I was quite a bit up going to that corner. Although it was a fairly big corner cut, I feel I can still match it doing it clean. If I just completely straight line the chicane, then of course I'd restart it. But with a cut like that, and I feel I could definitely match it, validated, then that's when I really do continue. Being a bit tighter this time and taking a lot more curb on the inside. Running a little bit out wide here, sometimes you can get away with that. But this one here, you cannot get away with running out wide. Hence why I always stay on the track. And look at the time. We are 4 tenths up on a 42.0 here. That is world record pace going through here. And going into the final corner, completely flat out for this left-hander. I found this probably to be the hardest corner on the track. Very easy to lock up going through into here as we do. Second gear here. Don't really want to go down to first because it will just over-rotate the car. And going across the line, that would have been a 41.733 if I can read that correctly. But again, keeping that momentum going, over a tenth up again, coming off this turn one, keep on getting a very good launch. And I really do think that's because of the roll bar, just lowering it from 11 to 10. It doesn't seem that much, but it does make a big, big difference. I just felt I just had that much more stability, that much more traction. And traction is just everything in this car. Just rear stability and traction is just absolutely crucial. And since I didn't restart the laps or anything at all, and I just kept on going and going, my muscle memory is really just starting to remember exactly how much pressure I need to put in the steering, with the pedals and everything, and that's why I'm just doing a very consistent performance at this stage, if you want to call it that. Going through it here, going slightly wide, ever so slightly. You want to stay nice and tight, not hitting that curb, and then braking as you hit the 50-meter board. A little bit drifty through there, but trying to make up for it for this left-hander. Can't really go out wide here, and again, this corner you cannot afford to go out wide, so always staying on the track, and about a tenth and a bit up, 2 tenths up, going through into here now. And again, this is potentially world record pace, and all you can do going into the final corner now is that you're just trying to keep it, try and not turn it as much as possible, just trying to thread the car through a needle. But going through into here, not locking up too much this time, but you can see the car just wanting to go to the right hand side. That's when you carry too much speed. The weight distribution does not want to help you, and we do a 41.9. Lost quite a bit of time in that last sector here, but finally into the 149s. And you will find, if you did this yourself, you will just start hitting 149s every single lap now, and that's pretty much what I was doing here. But I just could not get a good exit off this final corner, but we do eventually do a 41.8 after restarting the session itself. And again, I just kept on doing 41.8s, 41.9s all the time, but it was this final corner, I always just couldn't get a great exit and just kept on getting in the 41s, but just not improving my time at all here. And again, going slightly up going through here, but just over rotating the car, just carrying too much speed, too much apex speed through here. And it was green, but my time didn't actually improve at all. Going green once again, running slightly out wide. Track limits are pretty harsh around this course, and you can see now did a 41.8 once again, but I just keep on going and just to see what I can do, getting a good exit coming off here, and let's see what happens on the rest of this lap. Pretty much neck and neck going to here, but just locking up, and I just can't do this last corner whatsoever. Although we get a poor exit, I almost matched the time, and that's another 41.9 if I can see that correctly. So yeah, but now this is a very very nice lap here. So starting the lap, getting a good exit, we do a 41.8 at that time, so slightly improving here, and that is not enough for second place at the moment. And we're going to look into here, as that wasn't actually the start of the lap. I completely wrong there. I thought it was, but no, that was P3, only about half a tenth down on the fastest nose this time. But now this, getting right the second time, is a very very nice lap. So trying to get a good exit of the corner. We'll be talking about the braking points and everything on this lap now, but not getting an insane exit here. But I knew I could make up time going through the middle and the last sector as well. Staying tight here just to minimize the distance slightly off the track here. Deciding not to use the curbs on the left hand side. You want to be looking just before that black and yellow sign. That's your turning in point. Hooking on the inside here, using all the track as much as possible to give you the possible line. And going to here, you want to be braking fairly early, staying about middle of the track maximum, and then quickly going up into fourth gear, going to holding it in fourth gear early as you can on the throttle here, and we're making quite a nice exit. Going to up into seventh. As soon as you go into seventh, you pretty much go down again into sixth gear using all the track here. That was absolutely perfect going through that corner. This one again, 50-meter board. You don't need to be super tight, but you have to get on this curb to drag you around. If you don't, you'll be losing a lot of time. Just before the curb, that's your braking and turning in point. Staying on the track here pretty nicely. Do not hit this curb on the inside. And now you just got to think about the most efficient line through these corners as much as possible. So staying to about middle of the track, not hitting this curb on the inside or the exit, and now braking completely in a straight line. Going down into third gear and then second gear for the final part of it, just to get that extra rotation. Going across the line, it is going to be a 41.746, and honestly, I felt there was definitely more time in that. I honestly feel if I could do a perfect lap, it'd be a 5 or something like that, which I think you could see them some mistakes on that lap. Wasn't 100% perfect, but as I said, with the ABS, it really does settle the car down. But I was pretty happy with that as a no assist lap. Wouldn't say it's a world record, which it isn't, of course, but I was pretty happy with that effort. And the setup I'm running here today, if I can see that, is 1.4 wings, 50/70 transmission. That geometry I was talking about, better stability. And yet the 710 anti-roll bar will just give you, the higher you go on the front roll bar, the more stability you will get. The higher you go on the rear suspension, the more rotation you would get. So a very nice balance there. 89 for the stopping power. Tyres 100%, as I mentioned earlier, and 11 ballast, of course. That is me back with a world record attempt around Belgium. Hopefully you've learned something and have enjoyed that as well. Thank you so much for supporting my videos recently, and I will catch you very soon. Peace.